Hello, I'm WVEA President Dale Lee, and I'm recording this video on Wednesday evening after returning from the Capitol and listening to Governor Justice's State of the State address. I wanted to give you just a brief update on tonight's address and yesterday's meeting of the PEIA Task Force. Let's start with tonight, and keep in mind that State of the State addresses are typically short on specific details. Governor Justice began his speech by proclaiming, quote, "no new taxes," and a goal of achieving significant tax cuts during the session, end quote. Governor Justice reiterated some things that he'd stated previously and said he wants to make education the centerpiece of our state. Now, those include a 5% salary increase for all education and public employees and placing $150 million into PEIA. He challenged the West Virginia Department of Education to improve math scores, lower absenteeism, have computer science classes in every high school, and to revisit the school aid formula. The governor also wants to increase salaries of math, science, and special ed teachers in order to improve student performance, bank sick leave days, allow the Promise Scholarship to be used for vocational education, and to put $5 million in the budget to expand the Communities in Schools program. Now, although the governor did not mention certain issues, we know that charter schools, education savings account, reducing the business inventory tax, and other things that would harm students and public education are on the Republican legislative leaders' agenda. On Tuesday at the PEIA Task Force meeting, the committee took the first steps toward the long-term stabilization of PEIA by proposing a series of changes in the 80-20 statute for any new cost incurred by the plan. The first step was to suggest language changes removing the hard 80-20 requirement and to have the state pay at least 80% and the employees pay no more than 20%. A second proposal allows for deductibles, co-pays, out-of-pocket maximums, etc. to count toward the calculation of the employee's 20% share. Currently, the 20% must be in the form of premiums, and the new proposal provides flexibility in the 20% calculation. And finally, the 80-20 will only be used in calculating the growth in the plan. The proposal calls for each year that there is an increase in the projected expenditures of PEIA, that the legislature must be responsible for appropriating and funding at least 80% of that growth. This proposal would force the legislature to increase appropriations to PEIA, and they would no longer be able to go years without adding additional money and passing the cost on to the employees as they've done in the past. As recently as 2017, the legislature appropriated no additional money, and participants had to make up the entire $46 million shortfall in the plan. As Perry Bryant, former executive director for West Virginians for Affordable Health Care, stated, these changes are going to provide a much more stable, secure health insurance benefit than we've had in the past. These proposals are significant and starts getting us to the fix of PEIA and a long-term funding solution. Now keep in mind that they are just proposals to the legislature at this point. A bill will have to be drafted that incorporates those changes and then must be passed by the legislature. We will certainly let you know when the bill is drafted and the exact language that it contains. Every year, hundreds of bills are introduced. Some of them would be good for public education, and some could have very negative impacts. Don't become alarmed or excited over each bill that is introduced and assigned a number. The vast majority of these bills will never be placed on a committee agenda or show any movement during the session. The bills that actually make it to the committee agenda are the ones that we need to be the most concerned about, because they are given special consideration and will most likely come up for a vote. WVEA keeps up with the committees and their agendas each day. We have lobbyists at the Capitol every day during the session covering the committee meetings and talking to the legislators, and we will keep you abreast of the bills that are showing movement and ask you to become involved in those bills that gain traction. Now, in addition to our regular lobbyists, we're asking that each county send a delegation on their assigned day to come to Charleston and to talk to legislators. WVEA has briefings at 9 a.m. each morning at our headquarters, so stop by our office and get briefed before heading to the Capitol. You will find legislative contact information and sample talking points on the WVEA website, www.wvea.org. You can keep informed throughout the legislative session by visiting the WVEA website and our various social media accounts. We post daily lobby line updates and a weekly legislative update each Friday. Now, there are still 59 days left in this session, and we know that we will see both good and bad legislation proposed. So keep engaged, and let's make a positive difference in our profession and our public schools. I'll be talking to you soon, and good night.